Fulcrum One has undergone some recent changes to the mapping controls and the mapping engine of what's possible inside the software. Let's briefly talk through those changes and how they'll affect your workflows. We've gone ahead and moved all the mapping controls from the bottom part of the screen up to the top right-hand corner in a more concise and homogenized control set. The first option here that we have is a drop-down box to select your mapping mode. In prior versions of Fulcrum One, the only mapping mode available was direct sound. We've now added several more mapping modes that you can choose from, as you can see here. We'll come back around to some of those in a little later of a video. But for this, we'll stay on direct sound. The next option we have is the input signal. Right now we have it on pink noise, but you can click the drop down here and select from a couple different options. As well as right to the right of it, you can set the amp input level, basically the level of the signal going into the system. This is defaulted at -20. The next option over is our banding. And right now it's set to 1/3 octave, but we can easily change that by clicking and adjusting. Say we want to look at broadband or 1 octave banding. Leave it on 1/3 octave. And the next option past that is our frequency selection. When we're in broadband, we won't have a frequency option, but in the other banding modes, we do have one. And we'll click this to go ahead and expand our slider, where we can drag the slider up and down to choose a frequency that we want to visualize. When we let go, it'll remap. The final option that we have is to choose from the environment. We did a previous video on how to set up your environments, but in certain mapping modes, the environment will be taken into account for calculations. For direct sound, the environment doesn't matter too much because we're only mapping the direct energy from each loudspeaker. One of the new features with the mapping settings is the ability to now save your mapping mode along with all the settings you've specified here in these controls as a preset. What you'll notice is that if you adjust anything along the top menu bar, this little orange dot will show up, and that basically is telling you that, hey, this is modified. So let's go ahead and set our frequency to something that we'd want to look at, maybe a 1K, and we'll switch it to 1 octave. What I can now do is click the direct sound dropdown, the mapping mode dropdown, and I can go all the way down to the bottom where I have my project presets, and it notifies me that, hey, the current settings are modified from the defaults that the software ships with. Do you want to save those or do you want to reset? I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And I'm going to name this direct sound 1K. Hit save. And now what you're going to notice is the orange dot goes away and my mapping mode is actually now says direct sound 1K. It's really just saying the preset name so I know where I'm at. At any given point, I can re-click that preset down here, or I can switch to something else again. Instantly go back to another mode, or go to that one. Let's take a look at how to manage those presets so that we can share them across projects. I'm going to go down to the bottom left here and click the settings menu, and jump over to my mapping tab. Under my mapping tab in the presets section, I'll see the 3 presets that are listed under that dropdown. Let's say I want to take my direct sound 1K and save it to my system folder or to my system preferences for Fulcrum One. So that way, when I create a new project, I can always grab it. Go ahead and send that over. And then I'll go ahead and actually delete this out of this project to simulate what it would look like if we didn't have it in the project. So I have my project presets and then I have my user presets. Anything in the user presets column is actually saved in my user preferences file that is part of this computer, meaning that whatever project file I open, I'll always be able to see what's in the user presets column. To bring it into my project, I can click it and then click the arrow, or let's go ahead and leave it in user presets and see how it looks out here. When I click the drop down menu, I also am presented with the project presets, but also the user presets that I can then click and it'll add it automatically to my project for me.